What's up, fight fans? And we are back at it with another edition of Round One Sports TV. I am your host, Edwin. Far too kind. You're far too kind. And where do all fights start? At round one. All right, fight fans. Listen, if you're if you love boxing, right, and you've been waiting for some big boxing cards, uh the Saudis have put together one of the biggest boxing cards and probably since I've ever seen in boxing. And the reason why is because usually boxing has like one main event, they'll have a co-main event, but it'll usually be not too spectacular, right? The fights, the boxing matches really will be based against around the main event usually. That's why if the main event card, one of the guys pull out, the fight is basically done for, you know. So when you see a card like the ones that the Saudis put together for August 3rd, and I'm talking about the only card of the year, Terence Bud Crawford, coming against Israel, right? For the WBA 154-pound title, and the WBO interim will be on the line. We're going to talk more about that. And I'm going to explain why that title is going to be on the line and why a fighter such as Terence Crawford would consider taking that interim title. We'll get back to that, right? So this is one of the biggest fight cards because for many reasons. So you got the headliner, which is the obvious Terence Crawford, right? And then you have a very interesting fight that was just added to the card. They're gonna get Virgil Ortiz Jr. to come up against Tim Tszyu. Tim Tszyu just recently lost his belt to Sebastian Fundora. Um, it was a good fight. There was a controversy moment when Tim Tszyu suffered a cut, a huge gash on the top of his head, due in part to an elbow to Sebastian Fundora. It was really a freak accident. He kind of like went under it. I've never seen that in boxing, like that particular way. Like a gashing, slicing elbow, yes, but not like when you duck underneath it the way he did it. It's because of his height, you know so, and then on that card, you have Andy the Destroyer Ruiz. And Andy the Destroyer Ruiz is mostly famous for knocking out Anthony Joshua and upsetting and shocking the world in New York City. So that's his claim to fame. He had three belts at one time. He's been inactive for quite some time, but he's making his way back. He still has a lot of fans. We all remember him. He's a little stocky heavyweight, but what he lacks in size, he makes up in speed and combination, and he does punch hard. Andy Ruiz, he's a tough out for anyone. Now he's coming against Gerald Miller. Gerald Miller. In fact, the ironic thing is that Big Baby Miller was supposed to fight Joshua on that night, and he tested positive for a banned substance, and not once, two, but three times, right? And he was taken off the card, and lo and behold, Andy, the Destroyer Ruiz, steps in and shocks the world. So that moment was supposed to be Big Baby Miller's moment. So now shit has come full circle, and the two of them will fight. They shared that they're mutual friends, outside of the sport, and that um there's not gonna really be no shit talking, but they're not gonna cut each other any slack, so yeah. So now, also on that card, you're also going to get Issa Pitbull Cruz defending his newly acquired 140-pound WBA title, which he stopped Rondo Rowley uh, to win in TKO fashion. Um, Man, Issa Pitbull Cruz is showing that, he's showing that he wants to put these fights together. He ain't wasting no time. And it goes to show you when after these other champions claim to want these fights and after fights, they take these long gaps and vacations. There's a man right there that shows you, no, I'm not about that. I'm about that action. And he's ready to defend the title against a tough opponent. Many fight fans believe that why is Jose here? Jose Valenzuela. Okay. Um, Actually, the reason why he's actually here, okay, it's because uh you gotta pay attention to what was going on. What happens is in the structure of the WBA, they have their own ranking system. And a lot of people sometimes are confused by thinking that when they say this guy is ranked third in the world, he's ranked number two in the world, that they think that that's by all the major sanctioning bodies. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. One sanctioning body can feel like, yes, we rank him the number two guy, but another belt can say, no, we see him as the number four guy. You see? So in the WBA structure, when Jose went and fought that fight, you had to pay attention what was going on. When he knocked him out, that was a title eliminator fight, and they gave him like a medal, like they gave him a ribbon with some metal in it, and I believe it was under the WBA structure that fight. So he was coming up under the WBA ranking system. And that's how Jose got that fight. He didn't technically get the fight by, you know, beating all the top guys by like the the WBC's ranking system, the IBF or the WBO. No, he was ranked by the WBA. See? So looking at it that way, that's how he got the fight, Jose Valenzuela. He got the fight like that. So as well, there's another good fight that's going to be on that card that I'm going to be paying attention is Andy Cruz, the Cuban superstar. So I want to check him out, see how he's been coming about. He looked pretty impressive his last fight. I would have liked him to like score the knockout earlier, early, like, um but it was good to see him, and the changes that he's making. From a lot of fighters have a tendency of coming over from the amateurs or having a long, lengthy amateur career where that they're good, but their style still caters to amateur boxing. Pro boxing is different than amateur boxing. In the back of your head in an amateur fight, you got 3 rounds. It's a lot of offense. It's a lot of going forward. You don't really, think about a lot of body shot type things. You defend, but you're usually in this guard like that most of the time in the amateurs like this. And it's not calculated. You don't have enough time in the amateurs to feel a guy out. There's really no, period, feel out period. It's attack, attack, attack. You only have 3 rounds. So when you have a big amateur background, the fighter has a tendency of keeping that style, and it's hard to break them out of that style. He's training and been sparring with the likes of Jaron Boots Ennis, and you can see it showing in his style. So Andy Cruz, and I've been seeing it. So I would like to see what he looks like here. And the reason how they got this many big names on one card is the only logical conclusion I can come up with was the prince. He paid them all handsomely. He paid them what they were worth. And usually boxing promoters wouldn't do that. Between ticket sales, pay-per-view numbers, you got to pay all these fighters. You're not sure what's going to transpire on that night. You could kind of feel around the buzz. If ticket sales like sell out early, you could kind of estimate and things like that, but nobody really knows who's going to walk through the front door until fight night and how much money you make. And it's basically a gamble when these boxing promoters and are putting up all this money in the networks and stuff like that. So when you put a fight card like this, it's hard to ignore. Any one of these fights can be a main event. Terence Crawford, of course, Tim Zoo, of course, and he could still, yeah, he could still, main event and a smaller like card, yeah, yeah. Eastside Pitbull Cruz, he can main event a card, so there's a lot of, you know, fights that are big here. So I think that that's the way, to go though. Kind of like the UFC. The UFC has a fight card and it's just killer after killer after killer after killer, right? Right? And they're able to do that because, they don't pay those guys as much. 40 grand, 50 grand, 100 grand, you know, y- it's not the same. So, but uh this is a real interesting fight and I wanted to touch up on a couple things, right? Realistically, I really didn't know too much about Israel, right? He only has 10 professional fights, okay? So, I happened to catch him on a fight card one night and I actually saw one of his fights, right? Now that he's fighting Terence Crawford, I'm like, "Oh, I remember this guy right here." So I want to take a look at him. I want you to take a look at him. His record is not, it's not like eye popping kind of record. When you hear his record, you're going to be like, huh? Compared to Terence Crawford, they're going to announce Terence Crawford's record right in the ring. Terence Crawford's record is 40 fights, 31 ways by knockout. He is undefeated. Okay. Um, he has a 77% knockout ratio, right? He's 5'8". He has a 74-inch arm reach, and he's 36 years old. Okay. His record is 40 fights with 31 knockouts. When they're going to announce his opponent, right? Ah, his opponent has 10 fights with 7 knockouts. 10 fights with 7 knockouts. You would be like, what? Why is Terence Crawford with 40 fights with 31 knockouts fighting a guy that has 10 fights and 7 knockouts? Why? He has what Terence Crawford wants, a world title. Simple. He earned the right to be here. Whoever had a belt, whatever champion type, Terence Crawford only wants to fight world champions. He made it clear in the post-fight interview that that's what he has. He has his eyes set on unifying in another weight division. He really wants to separate himself from all other boxers. When he first achieved that, he thought he was going to be there by himself. Leading into his fight, he had to have noticed what was going on. At the time, um, Jamel Charlo, not only was he going to unify all 4 belts, he was going to do it on some simultaneously. He had all 4 belts at 154 once upon a time, and he was fighting Saul Canelo Alvarez for the 168, all 4 belts. And that would have been simultaneously. That would have been a feat that's like catching a unicorn. In order to replicate that again, just think about that. You would have to get a guy. You first would have to secure 4 belts. Then you would have to get a guy north of the equator or south of the equator, whichever way in the divisions, up or down, you would have to get a guy to also get 4 belts. And you would have to convince him to fight you for his 4 belts, but he doesn't stand to win yours. You stand to win all 4 of his, but he just makes a title defense on all 4 of his belts. He gives you an opportunity to go down in the record books as the first man to do it, but he's not qualified to do that. Everything is in your favor. That's why it was crazy to think that Saul gave him this. Why did he give him that? It was a no-brainer. Saul was going to beat him 100%. And when I say like 3 weight divisions, it was 2 actually. I count Jamel's 154. You know what I mean? And then 160, 168 would be the third, but it's technically 2. You know what I mean? But he is in 154. You're just gonna forget about what he weighs. But that he was never gonna do that. So that's what I want to do. I want to take a look at this guy, right? He has a 70% knockout ratio, right? He's 5'8". He has a 68 arm reach, and he's fairly young. He's 29 years old. Okay, he's pretty strong. He's pretty tough. Now, he's coming off a 5th round stoppage in his last opponent, Kerbano, Kerban, Kerban, Uv. I can't say his name, but you guys know who I'm talking about. And he stopped him in the 5th round. Now I want to take a look at this guy, right? Okay, we're gonna be taking a look at his knockouts, right? There we go. Concern was, Aerospins Jr. didn't, Aerospins Jr. going into that fight, his name was bigger than what he brought to the ring. You know, he really wasn't the fighter he once was, and he really didn't challenge Terence Crawford in a way that I can say that can Terence Crawford still deal with the pressure, take a good punch? He really didn't take any good punches from Errol. I saw Errol hit him one pretty decent shot in the match. It didn't seem to phase Terence Crawford. It didn't seem like he lost a step, although I didn't see him, switch like lefty to righty like he once did. And I didn't really see that, you know, um, that bulldozer kind of Terence Crawford. I think he realized in the moment the the magnitude of the fight. He didn't want to give Errol any opportunity. Even though I think in the back of his mind the fight was playing out a lot easier than he anticipated. It was like, you know, going out and watching a scary movie and being like, that's it? That's it. I thought this was going to be scary, right? And it wasn't what you thought, but at the same time, he felt like he was being trapped. Like at any moment or any round, Errol Spence Jr. was going to show up in the fight. When he saw that he wasn't going to show up, he closed the show. He saw that a few more rounds later, he goes, "Yo, this is all he really got," and he recognized it and finished him. So, you know, look, to tell you the truth, Israel, he's a champion. You can't take that away from him. He's a good boxer. I can see that he's very strong. Um, I didn't really see where that he was really tested or he has been tested. So I haven't seen that out of him. The one thing I can say for sure, he doesn't bring anything to the table that Terence Crawford hasn't dealt with before. He doesn't bring blinding speed, uh, overwhelming punching power, one punch knockout power like that. A height, reach. He doesn't have any attributes that bring something to the equation, to the table. I feel that Terence Crawford's come against these guys before. I believe Terence Crawford is going to figure him out whatever amount of time it takes him to figure that out. Terrence does have to be aware and a little cautious of that little lunging punch he has. I know that he's fought fighters like that already, and he'll dip underneath that. Terrence Crawford's defense, it's top notch. It's the best. His defense is crazy. He can be stingy in there when he wants to be, and pretty much when he felt the fighter, the punching power, and he felt what like the guy had to offer him. That's when Terrence Crawford will meet you in the center of the ring and want to counter with you. He'll exchange. There's where most fighters had their opportunities with Terrence. One of the fighters that had early success against Terence Crawford was Sean Porter. And the reason why he had early success is because of Sean Porter. You know, he was unpredictable, spontaneous. You know, he was a wild fighter, so to speak. It was controlled wild aggression as far as Sean Porter's side. Because that's how he fought his entire career, in your face type fighter. Power punches all the time. Sean Porter wasn't really your technician. He's not the type of guy that's gonna pity pat you and then bludgeon, bludgeon, bludgeon. Basically everything out of him was one or two speeds. That's all he had, and straightforward. That was Sean Porter. So once Terrence Crawford finished playing with his food, they had let him know that he was behind. He ended Sean Porter's night. you know um and the fact that they were friends and comrades. I think Terrence really took it a little easy on Sean Porter. He did him a little favor to bring it out. But once Sean Porter got into the 10th round and he really thought he was going to win this fight, Terrence Crawford shut that down, as you can see. So he was always in complete control in that fight. So I've seen Terence Crawford come against a lot of these. The only concern is the elephant in the room, Father Time. Father Time is undefeated unless your name is Tom Brady, because he doesn't know where Tom Brady lives. Father Time actually never beat Tom Brady. Tom Brady gracefully bowed down and walked out of the NFL, still at the top of his game. There was nothing that told. Matter of fact, like, was he not among when he walked away from the sport? Was he not top five quarterbacks in NFL? Would you take him on the year that he quit and put him on your NFL team? Yes or no? That answers your question. Father Time did not beat Tom Brady. So as for all the rest of us regular humans, right? Father Time is undefeated. And Terrence Crawford is, 37, 37 and shit, and he's venturing up there in the 40s. If you want him to unify all four of these belts, how long is it gonna take him to try to do this? So he's gonna have to like pick up the tempo and roll the dice at the end of his career if he's really serious about this. I mean, in order to be considered a four division world champion, you only need one belt. He wins this fight August 3rd. There it is, it's accomplished. What he's looking to do is become an undisputed champion by unifying all four of them. And I'm not sure if that's going to happen. So, but we're going to see. We're going to see. Time will tell. You know, um, And the defeat of one of boxing's stars, and Devin Haney, fell to Ryan Garcia, still remaining the WBC champion at 140 pounds, though, right? By him falling, it really um now it kind of sent things in a the 140-pound weight division got a big question mark now, just by one guy losing. And he really didn't lose his belt, right? Because now Subriel Matias saw his fight just go out the window with Devin Haney. Devin Haney ain't gonna fight that man. There's no way you can convince me. There's no way, right? So who's Devin Haney gonna fight? The smartest thing to do would be to fight a comeback fight. Get yourself in the ring, get a knockout, beat somebody's ass pretty impressively, and then get your confidence back up and then go after these guys. I don't think he really wants to go in there with Tio, Devin Haney, not looking like that. I understand the Tio fight will look different because Devin Haney is still a skilled fighter. But since these other fighters saw this flaw in his fighting style, they're going to attack that. And Tio is going to do exactly kind of what Ryan did. He's not going to box him. You see, if he hasn't corrected that mistake and he doesn't know how to deal with that kind of pressure because he's never had to. Devin Haney, Linares cracked him a good decent shot, but Linares was up there already in age. That him and real small ass Loma is his claim to fame. And let's remind you that Loma was moving up in weight to 135. He was a real 130 pounder. They beefed him up for that opportunity. Loma was going into that fight the much smaller guy. And as you can see, when Devin went into this fight with Ryan Garcia, he was a much smaller guy. He really looked small against Ryan, So, and, that kind of like threw a lot of future fights like out there. Like now everybody's like, nah, Devin, you're not that dude. Everyone's looking at him like food. You know, they're just, he needs to just stay away from social media. This will blow over. But like I said, he needs to get himself in with a fight and to get a fight where that he can win impressively, feel good about himself, be back on the winning side, and then tackle the other champions. I think it would be foolish to put him in against any of the other champions coming off that kind of ass whooping. Yeah, so I don't see him ever doing that. And he got handlers and people that obviously see that. If I could see this, I'm pretty sure they see this, and it wouldn't be a smart thing. You also got to protect your fighter. And sometimes you got to protect your fighter from themselves. Some fighters will be so embarrassed or hurt and wanting to prove, no, I'm him, I'm that guy, that he's willing to go out there blindly, you know, and to another big mega fight, you know. And he could take that fight in the middle of that fight, get flashbacks of Ryan busting his ass and shell up and feel that power and go, oh no, I felt this before. And his confidence starts to sway and he starts to second guess himself. He forgets why he's there, what his training was. You don't you don't want to do that to your fighter. You can damage your fighter even more, So yeah, so this is going to throw things a little, to the loop. But as you can see, Inoue Pitbull Cruz ain't fucking around, man. That young man is just, listen, man, he's a warrior. He is a fighter. All he ever wanted to do was box, become a champion, and provide for his family. That's what I see from that young man. That's all he wants to do is provide change, change his kids' stars, give them a better future that he never had. But at the same time, he's doing something that he loves. And while I'm here, shit, I want to be world champion. But he also wants to solidify himself as a world champion. We all know in boxing that it's one thing to become a world champion, right? One thing to become a world champion. But you don't really solidify your world championship until you make a title defense. Now you're that kind of champion. There's levels to a lot of part in boxing. Just like they say there's levels in skills, well, there's levels to becoming a champion. Okay. Just like in some organizations, they got, well, you can win what they call the regular belt. And you might think that's an interim belt, but it's not. It's the real deal. The problem is that the organization does not recognize you as a super champion until you make a title defense on their title. Even the organization says there's levels to being a champion for our belt. Yes. You see? So after like one or two successful title defenses, they will then notify you and upgrade you to the super. There's belts like the WBA. You can never win the super. You have to earn it. Everybody starts off with the regular. Yeah. You see? So, a lot of these belts have slightly different rules in their structure, but basically they're, the same. And I want to remind you that the fight is being taken place in Las Vegas. So it will be under the Las Vegas, Nevada Athletic Boxing Commission. Those are going to be the people, and those are the rules that are going to be under in that card. And the reason why I say this is to remind the public that sometimes a lot of people or think that, you watch a boxing match and you see this happen in the boxing match, and you think that the next time you see that happen, wait a minute, I saw that happen. That doesn't apply here. In every country, in every state almost, the boxing association has slightly different rules. In fact, Nevada, Las Vegas, Nevada has a rule in place. I think it was established because of one man, in fact, right? I can't really say that. I can't pinpoint it, right? But you can put tape on the skin in Las Vegas. When you go to wrap your hands, the rules state that it's okay for you to put tape on skin. Just like in Japan, you could put tape on skin. If you was to go to, I don't know, Tennessee, New York City, and okay, if you was to go to New York City, right? Madison Square Garden, and your coach put tape on your hand, that's illegal. You can't do that. They'll make you unwrap everything all over again. You got to put gauze, then tape. Different set of rules. You're in a different city. And if you're in a different country, there are also different rules. And there are rules that are also put in the negotiation period where that a three knockdown rule can be in effect. Maybe the three knockdown rule is not in effect. Things like that. A weight claw, 10-pound weight claw, in effect or not in effect. Rehydration claw, in effect or not in effect. So sometimes you got to pay attention, because people go into fights thinking, no, I seen this in the thing. If this happens, the fight's over. This is supposed to be. No. Sometimes you can see a fighter get knocked down 3 times and the referee's still counting on the fourth. And you're confused. You're like, wait a minute. I saw this dude get knocked down 3 times. They said 3 knockdown rule, fight's over. This guy's still counting. Why? There was no 3 knockdown rule established. So there's different things. So that's why I say this. Okay, these are gonna be Las Vegas, Nevada rules. Okay, I don't know if you guys are putting money on it or whatever. A lot of these things come into small factors, just small ones. And if you're really into the numbers and shit, I thought I'd let you know. um so look, guys, this is a big card. And it's gonna show the rest of the boxing world when this card is pulled off. The reason why I think this is the biggest card of the year, right? This is gonna set the tone. How successful this card ends up being will determine if other boxing promoters and all these people will be willing to do such a card like this again. You see? Um, so that's why I think it's going to be big in a lot of ways. and I hope it's very successful. August 3rd, we got a little quite a ways out for the fight. They've already started the post fights. Terence Crawford looks good. He looks like he could go in the ring right now. His weight looks good, well managed. And Bomac, he sits up there. He's a very confident coach, and why he shouldn't be. He has the best fighter in the world, in his stable of fighters, right? So Bomac is hearing the other guy, Israel's guy's coach, go on and so forth, right? And he ain't like sweating it. Bomac knows what he got, you know. And they've been in these situations before. Listen, I just got your messages secretly on the side again. What's up, Carlos? Armando, how you doing? What's up, Frontline? How you doing? Bam Bam, what's up? Let me scroll all the way up. There you guys are. This is the Super Bowl of boxing? Yes, it is. And like I said, it's going to set the pace. It's going to set the pace. I went all the way up to the top of my message, so I'm going to be answering your messages a little bit behind you guys. Oh, this new software is driving me crazy. Couple things a little, but I'm learning it. I'm not gonna get discouraged. I'm not gonna give up. What's up? All right, how you doing, Richard? Why they picked El Rayo to go up to 140 to fight Pitbull Cruz? It's a lot good fight, 140 pounds. Okay, well, El Rayo, like I said, right? He was already getting big for the division at 135. When he knocked out Chris Colbert, right? It was like a title eliminator. Remember on that night they gave him like a ribbon with like a coin and shit, right? And I guess they honored it. They honored it. And in fact, right, Esau Pitbull Cruz probably picked this fight. There's probably no mandatory right now for that WBA, and if there is, they haven't put in no paperwork because So Isa Pitbull Cruz basically wants to get active. His handlers, his promoters, they probably gave him a list of names and opponents. And they knew that if Jose got the call, he wasn't gonna deny a fight at a world title. You're not going to deny it. So Esau Pitbull Cruz also wants to get acclimated to the division. It's not every day you move up to the weight division and you challenge the champion right away. He had no other fights against no other 140 pounders. There's better qualified 140 pounders, but let's just keep in mind, Esau Pitbull Cruz is all of 5'3" and a half, 5'4". They lie and say 5'4". He's not a real 140 pounder. So he's treadling softly. So to bring up Jose, that's an even fight then. Esau Pitbull Cruz is not a real 140 pounder, and neither is he. We got ourselves a fight. Good matchmaking. You see? Jeff Horn's American debut was against Crawford. Yo, we had a good laugh because we thought of the situation. Just like you laugh, you made me laugh. That's a good one. Oh, wow, bro. That was like the Towering Inferno winning the belt, right? And they're like, yeah, you won. Now you got to fight Terence Crawford. Like, what the fuck? Like, yo, like, chill. Like, are you really gonna put the best fighter on the world on me? I just won this belt, like yo, you know. But Jeff Horn, if you ask me, kind of deserved that ass whooping. Running around beating his chest. I beat Manny Pacquiao, bro. You didn't win that fight against Manny Pacquiao. Okay, them judges was bought, and they gift wrapped that belt to you. And the boxing gods to like get back at him, they was like, "Oh, okay," because they were salty as fuck when they robbed Manny out there, right? And the boxing gods were like, "Okay, come back to America, okay? Oh, you want to just okay? See, yeah, fight Terence Crawford, set him right up." Yo, what's up, Carlos? Yo, Edwin, listen, I got Crawford, but he ain't fighting no tuna can. That kid is, yeah, a tough cookie, fam. He is. We watched him. You know, like I said, I'm catching up to you guys right now. These are all backward chats and answering shit. What's up, guys? What's up, frontline? Let me speed up a little bit. Hey, Haney fans are butthurt. They're all over YouTube. They're just coming up with excuses. The best thing in life when you're in a bad situation, just confront it. Get it over with. You know what I mean? Don't um try to minimize the situation. Don't try to look ways around it. Confront it, understand what you did wrong, and come back better. That's it. That's it. Once you start storytelling, making up excuses, oh, I came in with an injury. You guys don't know this, but my toe is broken. And, I had hemorrhoids that night. And, all these excuses, nobody wants to hear that shit. You know, you got to eat crow right now, Devin Haney and your fans and your dad and all of them, and just take it on the chin. Don't do what Teofimo Lopez did. You're gonna look worse. Don't look what George Kamboza did. Fighters like that are in denial. Don't do what Lomachenko did. That's worse. They don't accept the loss. A real champion, a real fighter accepts that, it looks like Devin Haney might have fell for that Ryan Garcia crazy antic shit on further look. Devin Haney, it's true, he did not look sharp. He didn't look fast. His twitch muscles didn't look, I even wonder if they were hitting pads behind the scene getting warmed up. He looked like he walked out. He ain't had a drip of sweat on him. I don't know. Yo, Punch Drunk and Tio, they sleeping together, bro. Nah, yo, that's crazy. Ah, yo, the Tim Zoo fight is a tough fight against Ortiz. This card is amazing, bro. That fight alone is a main event too. You know, um, the angry elf, Bam Bam. Y'all be crazy. What happened? After the face off, Ryo stuck out his hand to shake Pitbull's hand, and Pitbull looked up and left him hanging. Oh, Pitbull doesn't want to be your friend. We could be friends after. We could adjust. I know, kid, you're getting a shot at your world title. You're excited, but I'm not your friend. I'm gonna break your face. Pitbull Cruz wants to stay world champion, and from the moment he signed that contract, he locked in, laser focus. He's a pit bull right now, and you're food. There's no, You know what I mean? You ever see those fights, and after the bell rings, they're shaking each other's hands. In between the fight, they're hugging each other. Motherfucker, I don't want to hug you. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So look, I mean, the whole card is just amazing. And like I said, based on how successful this night goes, I'm pretty sure a lot of the parties got paid, a nice amount. The Andy Ruiz fight too is going to be electrifying. I think he has enough to beat Big Baby Miller, but Big Baby Miller looks like he lost a lot of weight. He doesn't look like like all big like he was. He actually looks slimmer right now. So I was like, wow, okay, let's see if, what you bring to the table too. I think Andy Ruiz is just a slight bit quicker on the trigger. He can put his punches together real good. As for a heavyweight, he puts his punches together exceptionally well. And Andy, his entire career, all he's ever fought are bigger men. That's all he's ever fought against. He knows how to handle a big guy. And he knows how to put that proper ass whooping on that guy like that. That's why I got Andy in that fight. I like Andy in that fight a lot. If I had to break down these fights and pick on my fight card, as of right now, if I see anything different, my picks are subject to change. Just like it was in the Rivera Devin Haney fight, all the way leading into that fight. You guys know it. I got receipts. I was rocking Ryan. I was real critical on his bullshit. But the moment that shit happened in the way, and I turned around and I looked at Devin, I was like, uh-oh. And I went and I made that video the day before. And I told you I think he's gonna knock out Devin Haney. Knocked him out. Yeah. And so, unless I see something leading into the fight, if anybody else is added on the card, we'll talk about it. But I got Terence Crawford against Israel. I got Tim Zoo over Ortiz. That sounds crazy, right? Because that fight's a 50-50. It can go either way. That fight, I just think Tim Zoo got a lot to prove right now. When you take a man's when you take a man's belt, he doesn't feel like he lost that fight fair and square. And Ortiz, although he's a really good talent, look at his competition. And that's doing parts of him and his management, and so uh I I I I like Tim Zoo. He's just more active for me. He's just more active. And I like him in the fight. As Andy and Miller, yeah, I already told you I got Andy Ruiz in that fight. Isa Pitbull Cruz and Jose. Neither of them are true 140 pounder. So they're both, learning how to deal with this kind of size right here themselves. So yeah, 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 the face off. So, I think that Isa Pitbull Cruz is gonna secure his title on that night. I think the kid Jose is good. I think that he punches well. Um, I just believe that um, Cruz will be able to hold his punch. He'll be able to hold his punch. If Eastside Pitbull Cruz took Tank Davis's punches for that long, and he didn't fold under Tank Davis's punches. And Tank Davis broke his hand. Yeah, I get it, but he still took Tank Davis. And in order for Tank Davis to break his hand, he had to hit him pretty hard. So if Esau Pitbull Cruz can take Tank Davis punches for 12 rounds, he can take Jose Valenzuela's punches for 12 rounds. I mean, that's kind of what I'm basing it on. I don't know if Jose starts catching him, and piecing up Eastside Pitbull Cruz. As far as that, I think he can take his punches. And then it's up to see now, can Jose evade, minimize the damage, bring Eastside Pitbull Cruz into deep waters, because that's the one thing we didn't see with the Rolly fight. We didn't see his gas tank in the later rounds, or what he looked like in the later rounds, and can his technique still hold up? We didn't see that. You see? So there was a lot of unanswered questions for Eastside when he won his title, but he hasn't really shown anything in the 140. And that's why I wouldn't right away go after any of the big guys or the number one guys, because these guys are not real 140 pounders. And when the argument was saying who was the best 140 pounder in the world, and I was here on my channel telling you guys the blatant truth. I'm not guessing this. I'm not biased. I'm not favoritism. I'm going what's on paper. And Subriel Matias is the best 140 pounder we have in the world right now. He's been the most battle tested at 140. He's acclimated over to the division. What are you talking about? That's the only division he fought in, okay? And these guys and these champions are either newly acquired or only have one fight in the division. You know, it's not, Tio is the second for me, the second. And Tio's becoming dangerous with the more he stays in the division because Teofimo Lopez is a dangerous fighter in himself. He might talk a lot of shit, and his father might talk a lot of shit. That has nothing to do with what he does in the ring. And I know how to separate the two. His mouth, that's a different story. But Tio is slick when he needs to be, and he can box. It looks like he has a problem with a fighter that moves a lot, like Ortiz did on him. But these guys are not Ortiz. They don't got those kind of legs. Subriel is not running anywhere. He's not going to be hard to find. He's going to be coming straight for you. And the rest of these guys, Issa, Pitbull, Cruz, they all fall right in line to that. It's not really a lot of guys at 140 that are moving like that, right? So as far as that goes, if you don't have Tio's kryptonite, everything else he's fought. And as far as boxing goes, Tio is good. He's good. He has good power too. You know, it's just that at this level, ain't nobody just gonna let you catch them flush. So the knockouts can sometimes be far in between because you got to remember you're fighting the best quality of boxers. You're no longer in the lower fighting tomato cans, setting them up and knocking them out and looking great. Those are the fights that make you look great. These guys are way better opponents. You're not going to catch them like that. That's why when I see fighters like this Japanese superstar catch legends, multiple division world champions, men that are accomplished that you can't fool, and he's knocking them out in like one round straight, fooling them on shit they've never seen. Are you like, really? I'm scratching my head like, that's how good he is, you know. And look, um, I see all these moves from the champions, and I don't, you know, when it's not a duck and it's a calculated move, I see what it is. You know, pressure because a fan wants you to do something and reality are two different things. Reality is Isa Pitbull Cruz, if he has any intention on keeping that belt, he better get acclimated to the division little by little. You see? And that's exactly what he's doing at 122 pounds. This will be his third fight already. It seems like he just won the first two belts against Stephen Kubo Fulton yesterday, and he's already got three fights coming up in this weight division. That's getting acclimated to a division before he moves up to the next one. The only thing different between him and everybody else, he's only using the champions to do that. No tune-up fight. The way he's getting acclimated to the division, you know, to settle in, it's fighting the best top guy and crushing them all as he goes. And now he's saying, yeah, I feel good in this weight division. Time to move up. After he just bodied everybody behind him. All, mind you, all the best. It's fucking video game shit, bro. People don't do that. Ask Devin Haney how, you know, how they work out for him. Ask a lot of fighters, bro. You know, listen, they're not going to appreciate this guy until he's gone. When he finally retires out of boxing, that's when people are going to come out and say, man, I wish guys like that were still around. Oh, I wish I was watching one of his fights right now. That's what they're going to say. That's what they're going to say, man. Listen, appreciate fighters like this because they only come out once every so often. The fact that we have um two guys that are like right there neck to neck, that's awesome. They usually, you have another guy that'll push you. When you had like Sugar Ray Leonard, you had Marvelous Hagler. There's always someone's nemesis, to be there for you. And it's great when they're both highly skilled. Unfortunately, they're not in the same weight division or not even in the ballpark where a fight between the two of them could be a realistic or a possibility. Unfortunately, Terence Crawford is way too big and old to ever think that he could, and he's just not nowhere near there where a catch weight would be entertainable. Yeah, it just wouldn't happen. The biggest fight for me that I really have my fingers crossed. I'm not sure if it'll ever happen. This is just me, wishful thinking here. But him Naoya Inoue against Tank Davis. Even at a catch weight 133, 134. It doesn't have to be at 135. Maybe just slightly above the 130. And Tank Davis could just, squeeze down that 1 or 2 more pounds. I think he could do it. I think he could do it. And because you got to think, if the Japanese superstar moves up from 122 to 126, let's say he fights at 126 and he's successful, which I'm pretty sure he's going to be, right? He wins a belt at 126. He's acclimated to 126. Now we're midsummer 2025. This is where we're at in my mind, right? At that point, he feels out 126. Guess what? Legitimately, he's 4 pounds away from 130. 4 pounds away from 130 pounds. He's 6 pounds away from 132, 7, 133. So what I'm trying to say is he's within 10 pounds. Yeah, I think that's possible. I think it's possible. You if Tank Davis gives a little and he gives a little, we might get one of the best fight we've shit. F Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. because it didn't live up to expectation. That would be the mega fight. Listen, just that card on the card by itself. You don't have to have a co-main event. No one else fighting on the card. That card would sell out. Yo, oh Matias, what? React said if he ever fights Pitbull, he could see both of them going to the hospital. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that. And the reason why he's keeping it cordial and respectable with Eastside Pitbull Cruz, if you haven't noticed, first of all, he picked Eastside Pitbull Cruz to win in that fight against Rolly. Second, he congratulate Rolly for getting that clown out of the division, out of the champions, because Matias never felt like Rolly should be there in the first place. He never considered him a real champion. The second thing is, Subriel Matias' training camp, where is it? In Mexico. He ain't gonna diss no Mexican while training in Mexico. Like he's gonna be like, man, fuck that Mexican. Blah, blah." Nah, dog. You might not want to do that, right? Show him his respect, boost him up a little bit. Oh, both of us will be going to the hospital. It's only one taking that hospital ride, all right? And his name is not Subre Matias. That's not what it says on the form. It says Pitbull Crew right now. Yo, you know what I mean? But he's just showing him respect. And he's telling him that he honestly thinks that Esau Pitbull Cruz will be his toughest fight. And if he hears that, oh, even he thinks, you see, I told you, hey, you want to fight? Got him. Gotcha, bitch. You know what I mean? So that's all Matias is doing. He's actually never had anything against Eastside Pitbull Cruz. Cruz never said anything against him. He's a champion. He's a champion. I'll show you a nod of respect. And under competition, I would like to fight you. You know, that's all Matias is doing. Yeah. But he's just, being nice, playing nice until he gets the fight. I wonder how that'll go. Um, Cruz trains in Mexico and Matias trains in Mexico. Stop by each other's gym. Hey, what's up, Vato? you know? Yo. So listen, fight fans, it's an amazing card. And I thought that this is really important, for boxing. This is really big for boxing. Huge. I've never seen a fight card like this in my life. Not with this many stars in a line like this. No, there are a lot of fights on that card that can be main events by themselves. So I think that when fight fans can come out, pay money to see a fight, buy pay per view, they're really getting their money's worth with a fight card like this. When you're seeing entertaining fight after entertaining fight, and depending how the fights go, if they live up to all their expectation like they should, we should be in for an amazing night of boxing. And and now I feel like I'm getting my money's worth. Where that I'm not paying $80 to stay up past midnight, falling asleep, half asleep, just because I wanted to watch one fight, you know? So this fight card will really keep you up and engage with fight after fight after fight. That's awesome. What's up, Frontline? Haney fans, Clowny Matias for that. yeah, 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 yeah. Look, they'll figure it out. They'll figure it out. Eddie needs to be investigated the time he did with Yo, listen. Look, can you be mad? Let me ask you guys something right now, right? All jokes aside, I know we're all like joking and getting on Devin Haney and shit like that, and you're not, you don't really think too much into it. You're just going with the punches. I get it, right? But if you were Devin Haney and you were giving all the opportunities exactly the way it was played out for Devin Haney, at what point you would have said no? Tell me. When they offer you the WBC by an email, would you have said, no, I don't want that belt. I want to win it in the ring. Would you have denied it? Or would you would have accepted? Then he did the right thing. He went in and defended the title against Linares. He did what he was supposed to do. Then they offer him a fight for 3 belts. But you got to go overseas to do it. Would you deny that fight? Right? The way you won the fight, would you have felt like you were a hero? Would you have felt like it was us against them? And then you had to go back out there and do it again. And you did. You did. Would you have felt like the man? Huh? Yeah, they dressed them up real nice. They did. They did. And sometimes it could be a rude awakening. This is what we saw. You're doing great, champ. Yeah, champ. Looking good, champ. Yes, champ. You're right on, champ. Break, champ. Want some water, champ? Oh, you want to take a rest? Go ahead. Go over there and hump that girl. Now come back over here. And now drink that over there. Now come back. That's right, champ. You're still the champ. Too many yes men. They're always telling you what you want to hear and not what you're supposed to hear. A lot of fighters, when they get money, it's a different thing to learn how to live with money. I remember when, I grew up poor as fuck, right? And I came across my share of money. And the first time I got money, thinking back, looking back at it now, the first thing I did is want to go on a spending spree to go buy shit. Why? Because I never had nothing. That's why, right? And I didn't see the difference between rich people and people that never had money. I didn't have a concern in the world. I didn't know what it was like to manage it. I wasn't paying bills or nothing. I kind of got it like in a settlement, right? And I fucked that money up quick, right? So the next time I got some, I said to myself, I'm not going to do that again. No, I didn't do it again. I just did it at a slower rate, but I ended up doing exactly that. Just a little bit slower. That's it. So then you realize once you start working and earning a dollar, that you start becoming stingy with it. You sweat for that money. It's not different. It wasn't hustled, it wasn't given. It wasn't like you didn't come with like a care in the world. When you hustling, you throwing money on a table, you at the Chinese restaurant, you giving her some, you giving your man some whatever, however you are as a person, but you spending. You know what I mean? A family member asks you for $30, you say no, but you go to the bar that night and you spend 300 on bottles like nothing, and you throwing money up in the air. But someone asks you for $30, nah, you ain't got it. 300 in the air like nothing, right? So you got to learn how to manage money. And a lot of these fighters get this money like this, and it changes you. It makes you lazier. And they don't know how to manage it. And I saw that a lot with Tank Davis. I saw there was a gap in period in his life where his life was just going out of control. He's buying everybody jewelry, smashing cars, doing a lot of shit. He just didn't know how to live with money. You have to learn how to do that. You got to learn how to wake up tomorrow with more money than when you woke up with yesterday, rather than being broker. I started learning this concept. If you're spending more than what you're breaking in, that's a recipe for disaster. You can't be spending more than what you got coming in. You're never gonna make anything. You see? So once you start learning that and shit, and you fuck up some money, you're gonna have to fuck it up to learn, bro. you know, um, then you start appreciating how to put things together, and your circle is smaller. Everybody with their hands out, you start cutting them off to the side, and you really get yourself, even if you're lucky to finish that out. Or, there's a lot of sad cases of boxers that didn't know how to manage money well. We've heard that tragic story time and time again. Mm. Then they're opening doors at a fucking five-star hotel for the rich people to come by them. Hi, champ. And he's got that long coat with the hat on, with the white gloves. Fucking heavyweight champion of the world opening doors. Didn't know how to manage their money, bro. You know? So, anyway, fight fans, look, bro, and still. Look, a lot of people, there are a lot of words you're going to hear around boxing that a lot of words are thrown around loosely in the world of boxing and in all of sports, like the word GOAT. All of a sudden, everybody's a GOAT. I'm the GOAT. He's the GOAT. He's the GOAT. No, I'm the GOAT. Like that, they labeled so many people the GOAT that getting the title the GOAT now is watered down. It really doesn't. Like, everyone's the GOAT. No, 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 I'm the GOAT in this weight division. You're the GOAT over here, and he's the GOAT over there, and that's not how it works. You're supposed to keep these titles and these names that we put on the best athlete prestigious, and not ever allow in conversation someone to lower the bar to sneak their guy in there because straight up they couldn't match their accomplishments. You would have to like introduce something else to the argument, like LeBron and Jordan. They introduced that scoring title that LeBron got. That was never in the conversation. Go get 10 of those scoring titles and rub them on your chest. They mean absolutely nothing. You've been playing for 900 years. You think you're going to score that many points? I would hope so. If you didn't get that scoring title, what would that say about you? What we were talking about from the original conversation was two three-peats, back to back, 6 championship rings. Do that, then we're talking. How the hell did a scoring title get in the conversation? See what I mean? They would have to lower the bar and introduce other things to get those guys in. Now all of a sudden he's the GOAT. Oh, you didn't even beat Kobe. It's incredible. But in boxing, the one thing that these organizations must recognize is to keep these belts prestigious. And you must keep these belts prestigious, you know. And it's a business, so you got to keep the belts moving, you know. And I believe Terence Crawford will be stripped the day he goes into the fight with at 154 pounds. There's no need for him to even hold up the division at 147. Why is he holding up on those belts? He has no intentions on defending any of those belts at 147. Set him free. Allow other men to become champion. Allow someone else to achieve his dream, what you wanted to do. Instead, while I'm negotiating other fights at 154, la 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 la, I'm going to hold on to these belts. No one gets no belts. He That's an asshole move, but people don't talk about that. Terence Crawford should not be holding on to those belts. He can't make 147. He's not going to fight at 147 ever again in his career. There's not enough money in the world to make him even make 147. And you don't got a fighter that can make that money anyway. It's, to me, my opinion, that's a dick move. When he had all the belts at 118, bro, he knew he wasn't going down to 118. He had no intentions of going back down. He was going forward, right? Bro, he didn't hold the belt or the division hostage all the way into the week of the fight to move up in weight. He didn't do no dick move like that. Do you know how long it took him to vacate all the belts at 118 to move up to 122? To to he just bro, he vacating 4 belts, not one, not two, 4. You have, for the first time, you got all 4 belts. Bro, 30 days from the day he won all 4 belts. 30 days. Yo, release those belts, throw them back in, let somebody else get a chance to be a champion. I'm going in this direction. You just relinquished all your belts? What are you doing? I'm going to go fight the champion in the next division. How do you know you're going to be that champion? How do you know you're going to beat that guy? You're moving up to a heavier weight division. Superior mindset. Real fucking champion. Never second guess himself. Well, what if I lose? I can go back down. I have 4 belts. There's no losing. Bro, I don't need. Yo, let someone else chase their dreams. Here, guys, 30 days, bro. Yo, it's been a year. We're coming up on a year since Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. last fought. And Terence Crawford still has those belts hostage. This entire time, people could be fighting for those belts. And you see why they make interim belts? You see why they make all these belts? Because shit like this happens. Because these motherfuckers, they don't put this kind of... When the IBF stripped Terence Crawford, the world went in an outrage. Yeah, and the brothers went crazy. Oh, look at this corruption in the sport of boxing against Black American fighters. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, brothers, there's a lot of corruption against Black American fighters. I agree, but this is not one of those times. This was just a business move. The IBF recognized, yo, Crawford, you ain't gonna defend our belt. Yo, we could put this belt against the next superstar. Who? Jaron Boots Ennis. That's a no-brainer. If that was racial, why did they take it off one brother and give it to another? How's that racial? They took it from Terrence. He's black, and they gave it to Terrence. Like, come on, man. They try to if you let them tell it, they'll say anything to you. But it wasn't nothing corruption or racism against Terrence Crawford. No, that was a straight up business move. You got that belt against Jerron Boots Ennis right now? Fucking great business move if you ask me. Right? A fucking awesome business move. So it's like, man, so the other organizations need to take them belts from him. Yeah, man. Let other people live. Terrence Crawford, when you were coming up, my man, all you ever wanted was a shot at one of those world titles. You chased champions around. You called them out. They ducked you. You were too good. You had to like get your, and you know how that felt, and you know exactly how that feel. And for you to do the same thing to all these other people like that, nah, let them belts go, brother. Show that, you're confident in who you are and your ability. You're going up to 154. You're going after that belt. You have no need for these belts. Okay. There was another thing I needed to bring up that I wanted you guys to remind me. Why is Terrence Crawford going to fight for a WBO interim? And why would he accept a WBO interim? Being the kind of champion that he is, right? Okay. This is why. Okay. Remember when I told you there was only one belt he needed to keep at 147, right? It seems like these guys already went and had their own meeting behind closed doors, and all of this was already talked about. I'm not there, so I got to figure it out as I go. So, what might have happened is the WBO said, "Listen, either you vacate the belts or we're going to end up stripping you." But and Terence Crawford said, "No, I don't want to get out of line because I'm already in the next man up to fight for that WBO title once Sebastian Fedora gets cleared. I can sit on the shelf if I choose to. Terence Crawford just wants to, stay active, right?" So he says, "How do we fix this? What's the way around all of this?" Right? And the WBO must have came to him and said, "Here's the solution to your problem. You can vacate the remaining of the belts at 147 and our WBO, but we'll give you a fight at 154 for the WBO interim. Under the WBO interim, we're telling you right now, we're going to acknowledge your position still in line for the next person in line for that WBO world title. You'll still be his mandatory. And the way we're going to get that is you get the interim. And the interim also has those guidelines in it. And the WBO must be honoring it. That way he doesn't lose his position in line to make him the mandatory for the WBO at 154. And he can also vacate the WBO at 147 and not lose his position in line by injecting that WBO interim. Yeah. So now Terrence Crawford will be, you see, and that's what I mean. Once he talked all this shit out with all these guys, then vacate the belts. As in boxing records right now, I believe they still have him listed as the champions. Maybe I'll go there today and they'll be all vacant. I'll be like, oh shit, he did it. Right? Unfortunately, no, he has not done it. He is still the WBA Super, the WBC champion, and the WBO still currently. Yeah, they don't have him as the IBF. They have Jerron Boots Ennis as the IBF. So as of today, they still have him listed. Terrence Crawford, yeah. Uh, Terrence Crawford. Where's the third one? The WBA, yeah. Okay, there's his name right there. That's one time. That's two times. WBC, where's the WBO? Oh, Terence, go right there. There he is. There was a pop-up ad. I couldn't see it. I had to push it up. Yeah, yeah. So technically, he still has all those belts. Yep. He should vacate those belts, man. If he already got his deal done, be a real champion. Show that you allow other people to eat other than you. And once again, I did that dumb shit. I clicked the button. Oh, here it is. Now I got the messages back up. Yo, we got the donation, my man. Chang, how you doing, baby? Round one sports star, my man, always looking out. How you doing? Thank you for the donation. May 6th, the monster, my brother. The same card, too. Correct. Listen, the same brothers. The two brothers in Japan, Naoya Inoue and his brother Takoma, right? They're both fighting in the car. And let me remind you, that was a quick turnaround for his little brother. His little brother just recently had fought a couple months prior to that, where that the older brother was in the ring. Remember, he walked out with his little brother. His brother scored the knockout with the body shot. So he was just fighting not too long ago, and it surprised me that they put his little brother on the fight card in Japan with older bro. You know, Shingo, their father. He's got to be proud as a father. He's got two world champions in his house right now, and arguably probably one of the best fighters that we have of our time right now. You know, um, so that's going to be a really amazing card. Unfortunately, since it's not in the US, it's not like a fight we can go to, just go to. Unless you have a passport and a couple extra bucks, be my guest. I would encourage you to go. You'll have an awesome time out there. I know you would, but like the Saudis, right? The Saudis saw that they could have took this fight card away from us. They could have put this out in the desert somewhere, but they understood that these are American fighters, you see? And by taking the fights always out there, the fight fans don't get to see their fighter like that and live anyway, you know? So by making that decision and making the fight in Las Vegas, I think that was a really big power boxing move. I think that was a really good boxing move. And then when you're talking about the best fighters in the world, like Terence Crawford, here's his moment. August 3rd, he wants to move up to his fourth weight division. Mind you, Japan's best boxer right now, he's already he has his fourth weight completed, sealed. He's going to his fifth weight division. And the world, including myself, is anticipating his announcement after the destruction of Luis Pantera Nares. Now, we've talked about this, and I've shared my opinion with you guys on this fight. Look, I'm a little skeptical about how the fight is going to play out. I believe there's a lesson going to be taught. Them Japanese samurais, they live by honor, and you know, when they want to teach a lesson, they're gonna teach a lesson. Look, I understand we don't live in the time of swords, but tradition is tradition, and they're just out there raised a little different. Their pride is, you can disrespect an American, and it's not nothing we ain't never been before. We've been chewed out at work. We get chewed out at home by our kids and our wife. It's, you know what I mean? It's not really, depending on the level of disrespect, okay? I mean, this guy tested positive for a banned substance, and he came in 5 pounds over. I think they were more butthurt by the way he knocked out their Japanese superstar. So here is an opportunity to teach a lesson. And I've talked about this. How do you teach a lesson? Carry it out. Carry that lesson out. You don't go out there in 1 or 2 rounds, bash his face in, knock him out. We've seen you do that time and time and time again, Naoya Inoue. I believe this is going to show Naoya Inoue is going to go out there to give the fans in Japan, Tokyo, Japan, a show. And I believe he's been ordered. you know, whether he accepts the challenge or not. I know that Japan can't like force him to do this, but I believe, they gave him the oh. You know what I mean? We're not saying to do it, but if you could, could you take care of this for us? Right? Right? And he is truly an amazing fighter. What a talent, the Japanese superstar. He's everything I love in a boxer. He's a boxer technician. He's a boxer puncher. He's a counter puncher, and he's a powerful, powerful puncher. He has one punch knockout power, um, with the fluent and the style of a graceful boxer. He makes it look real effortless and easy. And if you don't pay attention closely to what he's doing, he can just make great fighters look average. And you would think that he wasn't fighting anyone. But in fact, he's taking the best of what the division has to offer him, and he's wiping these guys down on levels that no one truly expected. And we've really never seen this before from a super bantamweight champion like that. You know, uh, the power and the style and the fashion that he is dispersing of these men. Um, I look, you know, as a kid, I would sit around in bed and fantasize about boxing and dream about becoming a world champion, right? And the way I would fantasize visualizing myself in the ring was on some shit like he's doing. Um, you know, when or as I watch his fights, I'm just like looking at him like, no way is he this good. Because I understand who Paul Butler was or is. I understand who Donito Donaire is. I understand who Emmanuel Rodriguez was. I understand who the Maloney twins are. I understand these guys are they've been in the game. These are the top guys in these divisions. I would have liked to see him break Casamaro's jaw. I would have also liked to see him silence all the critics on MJ, because I think he would have destroyed MJ. And I think he would have just boxed circles around Casemiro. But if you let the Casemiro fans tell it, for some reason, they think he stands a chance against this Japanese dude. And I was telling them, I believe that train has passed. There's been a lot of people that are taking interest in this Japanese guy now, especially the Saudi prince. I still think either you put him in Japan to market him or you giving him an American fight. And I'm not sure people would go all the way out to Saudi to see him. I don't think he's that worldwide. But if you give him a chance, I believe he will win you over. Whenever you watch one of his fights, I always say this, just wait for it because it's coming. You're gonna get that oh shit moment, that wow moment. Like you're gonna be sitting there, you're gonna be like, oh shit. And it's gonna come. It's gonna come because not only is he a great boxer, but he's a fan pleasing type fighter. He brings you that excitement, those knockouts, the blood, the speed, the impressive moves, the oohs, the ahs from the crowd. He brings all that to the equation, and he's undefeated. No man that has stepped in the ring with him has solved his puzzle. You're talking about him, beating all these guys, but these guys got to figure him out. Luis Pantera Nares, in his own unique little way, because provides his own unique little threats, his little awkward movement and the way that he doesn't dance the dance the way it's supposed to be carried out. um uh, you know that can cause problems for guys that are real technical. Had he just been a technical fighter, I would say that would cause him problems, but he's not just a technical fighter. Naoya Inoue is what I considered a polished, well-rounded fighter in every aspect of the game. There's no Superman. There's no Superman. He has his flaws. You're in a fucking boxing match. You're gonna get punched, right? But it's what he does in his moments, in his situation. his attack, how he approaches it, and how he disperses with his competition. That's what I'm talking about. He's doing all that shit at a very high level, a very, very high level. So, look, that's when I cover boxing, I love to give men and women their flowers. And when I sometimes hear some of these guys and reporters, just telling you guys what they feel because it's copy paste print. One guy came out and said it, and the rest forget to even do their homework. And they kind of just, and you're watching your favorite YouTube channel, and the guy that you usually get your boxing news, and if you hear it from him because of months or years of believing in this guy, you would think it was true. You should have all heard the things, and I'm sure you have, about all the things they said about this man. But none of them were true. And he proved all the doubters wrong. Those performances he pulled on against Marlon Tapales and Stephen Kubo Fulton at 122 pounds, you see, that goes to show you he moved up in weight. He fought two world champions. I'm sorry. He fought two unified world champions. Okay. Um, and then when Devin Haney did it against Ryan Garcia, you could see how hard that was to do, correct? And how power and brute force was a style Devin Haney needed to tame. Okay. For instance, the Japanese superstar, his first champion, he dealt with speed and skill, and he shut that down. His second fight, he dealt with Marlon Tapales. Dealt with brute, for, brute force, power, and forward aggression, and he dealt with it just perfect. In fact, if you really think about it, he beat both of those fighters at their own game. He outspeeded, outmaneuvered, and outpunched Stephen Kubo Fulton. The more skilled, the more athletic. The Japanese dude proved to be the more athletic, the more skilled, and the quicker. Right? He fought Marlon Tapales. Marlon Tapales was a forward pressure fighter, uh, power and brute force, right? With some skill, right? That's exactly how the Japanese superstar beat him. Going forward, brute force and power. He truly beats you at your own game. When I'm saying that, I'm not just saying it to say it just because it sounds good. He's legitimately doing that. Yeah. Bob Aaron said that 122 pounds. Listen. Man, you crazy. Yeah, he might Luis Pantera Nares might see, his corner tells him, yo, in the first round, if you see you can't go, just go in for him. He'll knock you out. We'll get our bag of money. We'll get on the plane and we'll leave, right? Um, Naoya Inoue, he just not gonna throw that punch. He's gonna hit him with good ones, da da da. He's just not gonna hit him with the knockout one. He's gonna come in with the pressure instead of usually typically, there it is, knockout, block. Okay, poop. It's gonna look like that. Because he's gonna be like, boop, 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 boop. You typically you'd be like, there it is, I can knock him out right here. No. Nah, you 2 rounds or 1 round. You're gonna be here for a while. Here, matter of fact, take this back to your corner. How'd that feel? Yeah, yeah, he is. Look, man, I can't wait for that fight. Look, you can't drag me away. Uh, first we're gonna get the Saul Canelo Alvarez fight. Well, I guess we'll be talking up. You know, um, that'll be that Saturday, and then the Naoya Inoue will be that Monday. Technically, I think we're gonna see it on Tuesday because he fights on Monday. But like I explained, that it's like Monday over there, but Tuesday over here on that type shit. So maybe he's gonna fight Sunday over there, and we'll watch it Monday over here. Let me check on the calendar and see how that falls. Because I really don't want you guys to miss this guy. I understand it's gonna be early in the morning. Look, if you enjoy boxing and you really want to see a great fight, don't miss this fight against this Japanese superstar. It's also for 4 belts, which is the biggest honor in all of boxing. It's basically the Super Bowl, the NBA championship, and the World Series all wrapped into one. You know what I mean? So because they got one trophy, I mean, this is 4 belts, bro. Combat sports. You don't you don't need a team. You're not passing me the ball. There's only one man in there, and you're on your own. you know? So, yeah, great show. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Listen, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. We always need something else to talk about tomorrow. Um, Tell me what you think about this card, the Terence Crawford card. I think it's going to really start to show the other guys that uh, to put cars like this in the near future. Depending how good it does. I think that the Prince will put on other bigger mega showdowns. I like it. I'm all for it. I love this card. About time I get a boxing match where it's like I can't wait to watch one fight after the next, rather than being like, who the fuck is this guy? Yo, when is he getting in the ring? Call me. I'll be by the dip bar by over here talking to these people. You know what I mean? Not even paying attention. That's when I didn't cover and do the show, of course. You know, but now like I cover all of the boxing now, and I like to watch everybody because I got to stay in the now. It's important for me to stay in the know, so to make sure that I'm right for you guys. So but this fight card, man, it's gonna be like, man, come on, let's get the next fight. Yeah, this fight, the next one. And I can't remember when a fight card was like that. So fight fans, boxing, its future is looking like it's in good hands. They're starting to clean up a lot of things. Things like this are starting to come about. Did I not tell you? You know, um, 2024 is going to be a good one, but 2025, we get more cards like this going through. Listen, imagine what some of these cards are going to look like in the near future. So, fight fans, listen, please click, give me a like on the video. If you like the video, you like the content, help me bring this to a wider audience. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to know when I'm going to be putting out my next video, just click that bell notification icon and it will alert you anytime I put out a video. So, fight fans, I love you. This was a great show. I hope I'd answered all your questions. I'm still bear with me. This is my second day in the new streaming thing. I'm getting the message things going, all the audio, and trying to you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and X. So have a good night, treat each other good, and I'm on to the next one after this one here at Round One Sports Talk. Peace.